Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into the dark side of history. Today we embark on a journey, a descent into the darker side of human history. Our subject, evil. Throughout the ages, the human story, much like the natural world, has been shaped not only by acts of great compassion and creation, but also by unimaginable cruelty. We'll be exploring the lives of some of the most evil individuals who have ever lived. From dictators to despots, tyrants to terrorists, these figures have left an indelible mark on the world, often through unimaginable suffering and destruction. Their stories are not for the faint of heart, but they offer a glimpse into the depths of human depravity and the devastating consequences of unchecked power. Join me now, if you dare, as we delve into the lives of these figures, examining their motivations, their methods, and their lasting impact on the world. In the heart of Europe, a continent ravaged by the scars of the First World War, a darkness was brewing. This was the Germany of the 1930s, a nation grappling with economic despair and political instability. It was from this fertile ground of resentment that Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party ascended to power. Hitler, a charismatic orator with a chillingly distorted worldview, preyed on the fears and prejudices of a wounded nation. He promised a return to greatness, a 1,000-year Reich fueled by the twisted ideology of Aryan supremacy and a venomous hatred of Jews, whom he blamed for Germany's misfortunes. The world watched in horror as Hitler's grip on Germany tightened. His regime, built on a foundation of propaganda, fear, and violence, systematically dismantled the fragile fabric of democracy and plunged the world into the abyss of World War II. Fueled by Hitler's genocidal mania, the Holocaust stands as a chilling testament to the depths of human cruelty. In the death camps, millions were systematically murdered, their lives extinguished in a mechanized orgy of unimaginable barbarity. The name Adolf Hitler remains synonymous with evil, a chilling reminder of the fragility of peace and the ever-present potential for human darkness. From the ashes of the Russian Revolution rose a figure as enigmatic as he was ruthless, Joseph Stalin. A man of contradictions, he was a revolutionary turned dictator, a master of political maneuvering who ruled the Soviet Union with an iron fist. Stalin's reign was one of terror and paranoia. Driven by an insatiable lust for power and an unshakable belief in his own infallibility, he unleashed the Great Purge, a campaign of political repression that consumed millions of lives. Under Stalin's collectivization policies, millions more perished in the forced famine that swept across the Ukrainian countryside. The very land that once sustained a nation was transformed into a killing field, a grim testament to the human cost of Stalin's ambitions. Yet, even as his regime tightened its grip, Stalin oversaw the transformation of the Soviet Union into an industrial and military superpower. This modernization came at an immeasurable cost, paid for in the blood and suffering of millions. Joseph Stalin's legacy remains a subject of intense debate, a chilling reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the seductive allure of totalitarian ideologies. Few historical figures evoke such a visceral blend of fascination and revulsion as Vlad III, better known as Vlad the Impaler, the ruler of Wallachia in the 15th century. His name, forever linked to the legend of Dracula, conjures images of unspeakable cruelty and bloodlust. Vlad's reign was one of unparalleled brutality, even by the standards of his time. He was a master of psychological warfare, employing impalement as his preferred method of execution. The sight of hundreds, sometimes thousands of his victims impaled on wooden stakes, their bodies left to rot in the sun, struck terror into the hearts of his enemies. But Vlad was more than just a bloodthirsty tyrant. He was a cunning strategist and a fierce defender of his homeland against the encroaching Ottoman Empire. His ruthlessness, while abhorrent, was driven in part by a desperate desire to preserve his people and his kingdom. Despite his brutality, Vlad the Impaler remains a folk hero in Romania, his image a complex tapestry of cruelty, courage, and national pride. His story serves as a stark reminder that even in the darkest corners of history, the lines between good and evil can be blurred. In the aftermath of the Vietnam War, a new horror was unfolding in Southeast Asia. Cambodia, once a land of ancient temples and vibrant culture, fell under the sway of Pol Pot and his Khmer Rouge regime. What followed was one of the most horrific genocides of the 20th century. Driven by a radical ideology that sought to create an agrarian utopia, the Khmer Rouge emptied the cities, driving millions into the countryside to work in forced labor camps. Intellectuals, artists, and anyone deemed an enemy of the revolution were systematically eliminated. The Cambodian genocide, a chilling echo of the Holocaust, claimed the lives of an estimated 2 million people. Under Pol Pot's reign of terror, Cambodia became a killing field, a grim testament to the dangers of unchecked ideology and the fragility of human life. The scars of Pol Pot's reign continue to haunt Cambodia to this day, a stark reminder of the human capacity for evil and the enduring legacy of genocide. Ivan IV, more widely known as Ivan the Terrible, ascended to the throne of Russia in the 16th century. A complex figure, he was a visionary ruler who expanded Russia's borders and centralized power. Yet he was also a man consumed by paranoia and prone to fits of uncontrollable rage. Ivan's reign was marked by a series of bloody purges known as the Oprichnina, in which he unleashed his loyal followers, the Oprichniki, on the boyars, Russia's traditional nobility. Thousands were tortured, executed, and their lands confiscated. Even his own family was not safe from his wrath. In a fit of rage, he struck and killed his own son and heir, an act that plunged him into a deep despair from which he never fully recovered. Ivan the Terrible's legacy remains a subject of debate in Russia to this day. He's both revered as a strong leader who secured Russia's place on the world stage and condemned as a tyrant responsible for unimaginable suffering. In the heart of Africa, a darkness descended upon the Congo Free State, a vast territory ruled not by a nation but by a single man, King Leopold II of Belgium. Driven by greed and a lust for power, Leopold's reign was marked by unimaginable cruelty and exploitation. Under the guise of philanthropy and progress, Leopold transformed the Congo into his personal fiefdom. He established a brutal system of forced labor, using his private army, the Force Publique, to terrorize the native population and extract vast quantities of rubber and ivory. Millions of Congolese perished under Leopold's rule, victims of starvation, disease, and unspeakable brutality. Hands were chopped off, villages razed, and entire populations decimated in the name of profit. The Congo Free State stands as a chilling example of the horrors of colonialism, a stark reminder of the human capacity for greed and the devastating consequences of unchecked power. Idi Amin, the self-proclaimed conqueror of the British Empire, seized power in Uganda in 1971. What followed was one of the most brutal dictatorships in African history. Amin, a charismatic but deeply disturbed individual, ruled Uganda with an iron fist. His reign marked by paranoia, violence, and economic mismanagement. Amin's regime was responsible for the deaths of an estimated 300,000 to 500,000 Ugandans. His secret police, the State Research Bureau, carried out widespread torture, extrajudicial killings, and disappearances. Amin's expulsion of Uganda's Asian population further devastated the country's economy. Idi Amin's reign of terror finally came to an end in 1979 when Tanzanian forces, aided by Ugandan exiles, overthrew his regime. He fled into exile, leaving behind a legacy of fear, destruction, and shattered lives. Mao Zedong, the founding father of the People's Republic of China, remains a deeply controversial figure. Hailed as a revolutionary leader who liberated China from feudalism and foreign imperialism, he is also condemned for the disastrous policies that led to the deaths of millions. Mao's Great Leap Forward, a utopian attempt to rapidly transform China into a modern, industrialized society, resulted in one of the deadliest famines in human history. Millions perished from starvation as Mao's collectivization policies led to widespread agricultural failure. The Cultural Revolution, launched by Mao in 1966, plunged China into a decade of chaos and violence. Students and young revolutionaries, inspired by Mao's cult of personality, turned on their teachers, intellectuals, and anyone deemed a counter-revolutionary. Mao Zedong's legacy is a complex one. He's both revered as the father of modern China and condemned for the devastating consequences of his policies. In the oil-rich deserts of Iraq, Saddam Hussein rose to power, a ruthless dictator who ruled his nation with an iron fist for over 2 decades. Paranoid, brutal, and driven by a desire for regional dominance, Hussein's reign was marked by war, repression, and a brutal disregard for human life. Hussein's rise to power was swift and ruthless. He consolidated his authority through fear and intimidation, eliminating rivals and crushing dissent with his ruthless security forces. His paranoia extended even to his own family, whom he suspected of plotting against him. Under Hussein's rule, Iraq was plunged into a series of devastating wars. The Iran-Iraq War, a bloody 8-year conflict, claimed the lives of hundreds of thousands. His invasion of Kuwait in 1990 triggered the First Gulf War, drawing the United States and its allies into a regional conflict. Saddam Hussein's regime finally came to an end in 2003 with the US-led invasion of Iraq. His capture and subsequent execution marked the end of an era, but the legacy of his brutal reign continues to cast a long shadow over the Middle East. In the annals of modern terrorism, few names evoke such fear and revulsion as Osama bin Laden. The founder and leader of al-Qaeda, bin Laden was the mastermind behind the 9/11 attacks, a horrific act of violence that plunged the world into a new era of fear and uncertainty. Born into a wealthy Saudi family, bin Laden became radicalized during the Soviet-Afghan War, where he fought alongside the Mujahideen against the Soviet occupation. He saw the United States as the ultimate enemy, a global superpower responsible for propping up corrupt regimes in the Muslim world. Under bin Laden's leadership, al-Qaeda evolved into a global terrorist network, carrying out attacks around the world. The 9/11 attacks, which claimed the lives of nearly 3,000 people, were the culmination of years of planning and preparation. Osama bin Laden's reign of terror finally came to an end in 2011 when he was killed in a US Special Forces raid in Pakistan. His death marked a significant victory in the fight against terrorism, but the legacy of his ideology continues to inspire extremism and violence around the world. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the darkest corners of human history. We've confronted the lives of individuals who have come to embody evil, their actions leaving an indelible mark on the world. From the horrors of genocide to the devastation of war, their stories serve as a stark reminder of the human capacity for cruelty and destruction. But amidst the darkness, it's crucial to remember that these individuals represent a deviation from the human norm. For every act of evil, there are countless acts of kindness, compassion, and courage. It is through understanding the depths of human depravity that we can truly appreciate the importance of striving for a better world. If you found this video informative, please like and subscribe for more content exploring the complexities of history and the human condition. Let us know in the comments who you think is the most evil person in history and why. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, please like and subscribe for more content. Let us know in the comments who you think is the most evil person in history.